Here we are on Conversations from Drumroll, this week featuring Matt O'Brien. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for those who are kind of like the way that I like to structure these is like, not everyone's familiar with your music, so tell us a little bit about your, like the groups that you've been in and kind of how you got your footing as a musician.
I got my footing as a musician in the scene around here that people would maybe know me from playing in Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad, which I started with my brother and our brother James and the homies at the time. But growing up, my dad got a drum set when I was 5. We always had a piano. Got a guitar when I was 6. Sit on his lap, and he was good at writing songs. That was maybe his musical strength, because he wasn't great, but he was a country drummer, blah, blah, blah. Lots of music. He gave me a couple Beatles tapes that I loved, right? The number one hits, and then Imagine, the movie soundtrack, which are from both ends of the spectrum there. Loved it in school, did all of the music you could do in public school.
Cool.
And had bands for my whole life, and
neat.
Yeah, I get obsessed with it. I wish I could do it more.
So I've seen you play a couple of instruments, so what kind of is your body of kind of like your interests as far as performance and whatnot? Exploration.
When I was very little, probably because we had a drum set and it was the coolest thing ever, I always wanted to be a drummer, and I did that the most seriously. And then probably out of necessity for how much I wanted to have bands and write songs, I picked up the guitar and then wound up loving that. Writing music is definitely the most important. I didn't think, maybe still don't. I feel like I should have embraced younger how much it's my responsibility to make the music I want to be made rather than have a passive role in it.
Yeah.
That ends up being the thing. Just do all of it.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Cool.
Might have gotten a little off from the original question, but
That's okay.
you know?
Yeah. Cool. I enjoy a meandering conversation. It's called Conversations from Drumroll, after all.
Yeah, in terms of like
we keep it relaxed.
What was I trying to do? I thought I was trying to play drums, and it turned
Yeah.
into just this wild fascination with all things music. And
Cool.
wanting to-
Oh, that's awesome. And you also sing, so have you developed like a preference for what you like to do these days?
My preference is to be playing songs.
Okay.
I love songs. I obsess over and think about songs and write half a song to where I have 20 half-finished songs, and then have to keep working on the new one instead of possibly taking an afternoon to finish one that's already. But yeah, that's all I like to do. Singing in Thunderbody, which was a band I did after Giant Panda, I sang and played the drums, which was very engaging, and then you feel like you get to do everything. It's like pitching and catching at the same time or something. And I got it in my head after doing that I wouldn't really like to be doing that much the next time. And then I wound up playing bass and singing. So what do I want to do? I've been enjoying playing these solo gigs where I just play my songs on a guitar, but I want to be playing in a band, so I have to play the bass and sing at the same time in this particular band to make the band be a band. And it's better off because I get to play with my brother, whose main instrument is drums, and Mike Martinez can play the guitar really well, and Max Flansburgh plays in the band, so.
Yeah, so you seem to be referring to your like newest project.
I always want to be doing
Flying
my newest.
Object.
Flying I interrupted you while you were asking the question.
Oh,
but
that's
yes,
okay. No, I'm totally into it.
that is what I would like to be doing the most all the time.
Yeah.
Currently.
That's awesome.
In that band, we play my songs, and the sound of the band developed its own chemistry as a band,
Yeah.
I would say.
And it's awesome.
Well,
Like,
thank you.
absolutely. I have really enjoyed. I caught you guys at the Moonlight Lounge at Cosmic Charlie Cafe over the summer or this fall.
When our buddy Dennis was playing drums.
Yes, and I was loving it. And there were people there taping the
They do this
show.
at every show so far.
I know. So like you guys have really kicked up like a scene and a following, and this taping section. There were like less than 100 people at the show. So like that is not a negligible amount of people to be like committed to what you guys have going on. So how did this all happen?
I'm thankful for that element of it, and the mysterious ways that music comes together. I could launch into a rant about that, but the way this came together, I would, not to be too hippy-dippy, but we had that intention, sort of, like, what would we want to be happening? Why don't we deliberately do this thing that has this great chemistry, and I feel like, as far as the band goes, this would be like the third time I've started totally from scratch. And I definitely know this time that whole community thing. Be very welcoming, and like you might as well consider these people your best friends because you're going to be hanging out with them for as long as you have this band. Yeah. So there's people like Kenneth Clark came around right away. Dylan Bloom's been at almost every. Marcus Converse,
SUNY Geneseo grad, physics doctoral candidate at U of R. That kid has blown my mind.
So we could just be like, oh, cool, thanks for coming to the show. It was like nice to see you. Anyway, we've gotten to know these people, and you correspond with them and just keep in touch with them every time something's happening. Yeah. They're there, and he's been, like, a lot of these people have been at every little thing.
Marcus has been a huge supporter of this show also. He's like a super fan. He's just a cool guy.
He's a big supporter of it, and I think the idea, I don't know if it was deliberate, but how did that happen? Maybe just because everybody knew we were so open to it, and that we were openly putting the band together in public. Yeah. Like, we didn't really have a flying object, and we knew it was going to be a thing that we'd be so engaged in so quickly. Yeah. There was no plan from Axe Flansburgh. We just did, I could go on. How did it happen? It happened quickly, and everybody embraced it. Or I don't mean everybody, but certain people embraced it deeply right away. And the recording of it, I think, is as much like, oh, this is going to be fun, but we didn't know. Nobody knew what it was going to be like. Yeah. So I think people wanted to document the beginning of something that hopefully they were expecting was going to become harmonious.
So tell us a little bit about the beginnings of Flying Object, and it seems like you guys have a bit of a rotating lineup situation at this point. So tell us a little bit about like how you got started and how you developed into this very fluid, very enjoyable experience where it's kind of like you don't necessarily know exactly what you're going to get, and it ends up always just being killer.
We enjoy that part of it also. And I, in Giant Panda days, I would have been the really uptight perfectionist, wanted everything to be as, perfect as we could make it, as exploratory as that all was. But this, it's lucky that it's happening anyway. So, for example, Mike Martinez and my brother got this rehearsal space, and we would hang out on Monday mornings, and it was like Monday mornings and Sunday, or Sunday and Tuesday. And it wasn't supposed to be a band, it was a good reason to get together, and the point was to play music. So we would do this, and then sort of turned into a thing. Our now buddy, Elliot Schwartzman, who's from Rochester, who had been out in LA and touring the world for the last 15 years, just plopped back into Rochester, and we met him, and he started coming to these things. And it rapidly started sounding like a pretty good band that we wanted to play, and then we got this gig opportunity. So we started getting ready for one gig for the Rochester Cocktail Revival. Okay. Just hoping, we'd have enough good sounding music to be what we were supposed to be for that. Right before that turned out to be this 3-day Panda run around the Northeast. They went to Boston and Hartford, Connecticut, and then Syracuse. And they invited us to go be the first of 3, just to see if we liked being a band. My brother's going to be there anyway. It was just going to be me and my brother and Mike Martinez. Elliot Schwartzman came along. Felt pretty good. Also, Tim Brackett, who's all of our favorite sound engineer, local guy, but was like every Thunderbody show forever. I've spent more hours with this guy than anyone I've ever been in a band with, was doing sound on the Panda run. So our first time out playing these gigs that we found out about a couple weeks before went like wildly better than we thought they would. And on the third gig, Max Flansburgh was the band really opening for Panda, which was Dirty Blanket. And I feel dorky that I don't know those guys yet, because I just like was on 5 years of not doing anything hiatus from life. And Max Flansburgh had sent me a note on the internet saying, I really like that song Flat Earth. What's up with that song? Is there a recording of it? And there wasn't. And I said, but we're playing it at that show. You're going to be there. Would you like to play it with us? Because I just kind of vaguely knew that he was extremely competent. So we did that tune with him, and he knocked it out. He played the coolest thing a guy sitting in could have possibly played. So then we did that gig in May for the Cocktail Revival, and we naturally hit up Max and said, would you like to play that gig with us? And it was twice as good as that one song had been, and we loved hanging out with him. Don't know him really at all at this point. And then I think we decided, I don't remember why we decided to keep doing more gigs or what our deal was, but Max has been in the band. Elliot was around for a lot of it. All the gigs kept being really fun. Elliot moved away. Then we did one gig in November. Elliot came back, and we did it that way. Meanwhile, with the rotating cast thing, we've had Sam Snyder's played guitar with us a whole bunch. Overhand Sam. Dennis was playing drums in Genesee the time he saw us. He played like another drum set next to my brother a couple gigs. That was the idea. We want to do that. Tons of guests. Aaron played the whole set with us on New Year's Eve. Rick played a whole gig with us at Flower City one night. He had never heard any of the music. Oh, well, I wouldn't say he'd never heard it, but he played the whole gig. It sounds great. Of course, it's recorded.
Oh, perfect.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so ranting.
Cool. No, I think
that's how Flying Object happened. It's still happening.
Cool. So you guys have some upcoming shows over here. I'll preface this by saying we've already started making a record that we're excited about, so we're not like done doing the band, but we are. We're playing in Ithaca this Thursday, but then, most importantly and dear to me, on the 17th of February, next Saturday, right here at Drumroll. I know. It's gonna be killer. It's going to be the place to be. Certainly.
The last hang.
Yeah. We'll see.
To end though, the rant about the rotating cast. It's you never do know.
Yeah.
Elliot will be there when we didn't know he was gonna be there. Then all of a sudden, poof! Like Max can't play. Like you never know what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
He's going on the road with Sam Grisman Project. If there's any Flying Object gigs, then he won't be there.
Yeah. Brutal. Cool. What have some of the challenges been of kind of like you've had a couple of really well-known, well-loved groups that had a pretty strong like reggae influence, I would say also. And so this is not that. This Flying Object is definitely more of a psychedelic exploratory experience. So have people been surprised by that or had anything to say about kind of like this new brand?
I think I was discouraged over the course of the last many years, at least two of which were COVID, and then another almost year of which was people not being used to that COVID was over.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as long as it seems. But yes, that's always been a thing from Panda time. Thunderbody was reggae.
Yeah, like completely.
Completely.
Yeah.
But was psychedelic, and we would explore, and I used to try to address what are the challenges. I used to try to point out that we didn't sing typical reggae lyrics or necessarily go in a lot of the directions that popular current reggae goes. Yeah. So it was reggae, but it was very different than most of the stuff that is in Thunderbody,
your
especially,
brand.
I thought was our brand. Challenge would be, I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to go see that white reggae band. I'm not exact, that like was the most. People would see you and be like, oh, I just assumed you were terrible. A lot. people just were like, "Oh, I wish I'd come seen you earlier. I just thought that was gonna be some
Really?
like not good stuff."
Hmm.
And yeah, and I won't like pick on anybody, but that was a reason a lot of people that
Yeah.
Then everybody thinks you're supposed to be doing that, and people who did go and like it and love it.
Mm.
So over the last few years before this incarnation of the band, I did hear about that a lot, and people did not like or believe in or hear that what I think are like psychedelic sappy songs now would sound really cool with a groovy band.
Yeah.
My brother finally sort of, he's like, all the music I listen to is like this and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't, like, maybe your songs are cool and they're not, this isn't just some art diversion. I just stopped writing songs that had to be for that and kind of refused to be, to me, that's like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Reggae guy. Thunder Body was the biggest, best we could do it.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that music too. But in terms of, I just want my songs and singing, and it's easier to have various kinds of energy, ups and downs and things. The reggae was a little extremely disciplined, I would say.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do certain things consistently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
definitely.
challenges. That was a challenge prior to this incarnation. Nobody says anything anymore. Never comes up.
Good.
Like this is just like, oh, this band works. Keep
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. That's
Mhm.
good. That must be a tremendous relief to kind of be seen as more than that. If
I
that
don't know
was
if
a
I am
very-
yet. Like, I still,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody knows. Like, I don't know if everybody's quite caught on. So I'm happy you asked.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
very different. It's
Absolutely.
not that.
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that, I would say. It's still your beautiful songs, though.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm really interested in hearing somebody on here. It might have been Max. Someone said it really doesn't matter, like, who's playing, like, or who's in the band. Like, it's your songs that make the music. And I agree.
I
mean,
did
it's a
happen to
very-
watch Max's interview yesterday, and I was touched that I even came up and that. Oh, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the band, I guess." Yes, so much. Please be in the band. He didn't say it doesn't matter who's in the band. I believe he said it doesn't matter what genre it is or
Yeah.
how we play the songs or if it's just him by himself.
Yeah.
Because I want to clarify that
Yeah.
Max jumping in and Elliot Schwartzman being around certainly made the thing be a band.
Yeah.
Me and my brother and Mike are great and we love it and it sounded okay. But so matters immensely. But his attitude and his whole thing. Anyway, I wanted to make that point, but I never want to make that point that the music stands on its own regardless of style at the expense of the music. But this stuff, these tunes pick their own groove and
Yeah.
then the guys in the band. But like I've been saying and always say, I want to reference his interview once more because he
Yeah.
said he tries all these different instruments. Anything with strings, he's good. And if he's anything like Aaron Lipp, and he is, he can learn them better than most people very quickly.
Yeah.
It's not quick. They got to work hard at them, but they do it.
Yeah.
They make
Super
quick work
proficient,
of stringed instruments. And he's like, but shouldn't I just be playing guitar? Like, that's the thing I'm the best at, so shouldn't I focus on that? I related to that comment in the spirit of, yeah, I have tended to leave it to the Maxes of the world to get extraordinarily good at instruments because I'm more into writing songs.
Yeah.
And I find that even if it's not my songs, playing songs is what I want to be doing. Even
Yeah.
if you're improvising, even if it's like, what are we improvising on? What do you shape the whole musical magic of
Yeah.
the thing. And so I've been playing a ton of solo gigs, and they do. I'll change the groove because it's cooler to be strummy strum on this one, or kind of make it sound like you're playing an acoustic guitar. And maybe it changes the phrasing of the vocal a little bit, but not really. Same song, just
Yeah.
sounds all strummy now.
Yeah.
If you got a whole groovy band, you can just do the slow quarter note,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
chill. But yeah, the song should stand alone. That's I have a lot of hesitation about how much people like some of the Thunderbody songs or do be played now, which I'm fine with because they're songs,
Right.
but they were very much intended to be played with this giant band with throbbing bass and huge drums and all that. So to me, like a tune like Radioactive that people are accustomed to hearing us play still, which we don't play reggae style, doesn't seem to matter to anybody.
No.
But that's a very, very simple song.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, this isn't for now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting. Your songs have very impactful lyrics. I've noticed, at least. Many of them, at least, have very, like, impactful lyrics that are very positive much of the time and very, I think, sometimes cause arresting moments with the people who are listening, and they really relate to them, and they really feel like what they're hearing is something that's meaningful and genuine. And so how have you found yourself as a person who creates that experience for people? Like, do you think while you're writing a song, like, this is definitely going to make the people, like, feel really moved?
I usually, with a song, I want to love it, and I want to be moved, and I want to be like, if I heard that song, I would care about it because that's a distinctive line or this or that. Typically, and I'm happy you say that. Thank you for the arresting lyrics. We could be like specific or vague because I feel the same way about all of them. I don't use like fill-in lyrics that rhyme really. I'm pretty like, that's not a song until I think it's a song in my kitchen. Eventually songs just get played and it's whatever, and especially if people know them, not some big deal. But once it's there, it's not a big deal to me. Like before it's there, I don't have a sense of if people will connect with the lyrics, or often I'm curious when a song is finished or I decide to finally show it to people, usually my brother, or if there are various people that I'll or whoever's around, like, then I'm not too shy to show it to. And again, then you're doing this thing you just obsessed over, and somebody's hearing it for the first time. So it's not like all the analytical bells go off and they know how it makes them feel. Yeah. But no, I don't know. I'm often nervous that I like something that won't come across at all, and somebody will be like, why? Why that? Or like, really, you said that? There's also sometimes songs are about stuff in your personal life that people around you who would give you feedback can't give you neutral feedback on. Yes. Because it makes them feel some way. I hope that. Radioactive is a perfect example, and it's from years ago, so I'm less self-conscious about it. You don't know if people will like that way that is. To me,
Tell us a little bit about Radioactive.
Radioactive was
I'm familiar, but I would like to...
After the Fukushima, the tsunami and earthquake in Japan, and then it was this, like we've had many over the years on Earth, never-ending disaster. And so the lyrics to the song describe my take on that, but a little sarcastically, or as though it's lighthearted.
Yeah, as though it's routine.
As though it's routine, and so when I'm like doing that, and the band at the time, Thunderbody, was like wildly supportive and accepting of these tunes. There were like a couple times Jeremiah would be like, we tried it, like not that one, but not very often. We'd get to rehearsal, he'd be like, any new tunes? I'd be like, you want to hear what's in the works? And then we'd be like playing it at the next show. They always wanted to try stuff and see how it went. But I just think Radioactive is an example of people be like, are you nuts? Like, that's not even a song. Why is that the song? Yeah. Or it could be this one that everybody thinks is very catchy and does. So that's how you learn. If I'm feeling some way, put it out there. Yeah. Work on it till it's done. Hope it has that effect. Yeah.
Cool. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Are you one of those songwriters who just is constantly like working on something, or do you find yourself kind of like ebbing and flowing with your inspiration and workflow?
I know, like I heard Rick talking about on your interview, he doesn't get much writing done on tour.
Yeah.
Which I can relate to, but from years ago. I don't usually get much writing done in the summer.
Really?
Like, it's busy, or you're trying to play, or you're trying to get ready for whichever gig you think is a big deal.
Yeah.
And do a good job. And I know now, at my age and having done it my whole life, that yeah, when it gets cold, becomes when you take all the ideas that have been floating around and they more rapidly turn into finished things that's like the next year's work. In the case of this year, that's just one version of the ebb and flow. Like in the long term, every year, I know it'll be like, oh, it's right now, we're gonna hopefully have a whole bunch of new stuff that we're actually playing. And this year I get to be like actually in a band.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I'll play them by myself. But short term ebb and flow is like you get, I remember being young and I used to get frustrated working on a song because something is there and now I don't. Like I'm just, nope.
Yeah.
It's not there. You can't figure it out yet. You don't have the right frame of mind. Like put some laundry in or like go for a walk or go smoke or go any number of, like do anything different.
Yeah.
Like do the dishes.
Yeah.
Sweep the floor. I don't ever let myself get stressed about, oh, the idea is not coming fast enough, or so in terms of that workflow, tunes can like pop right out quick, or but yes, I'm always working on something and I'm always open to it, and that leads to a lot of backup, and then you just finish it later.
Yeah.
I know that. I don't even worry about it. That song's like, why?
That's awesome. So you mentioned also that you guys with Flying Object, you're coming out with an album.
I'm psyched about it. It's cool, and everybody's psyched about it, and we did it the way we want, which is just play.
Yeah.
And
did you record it
Jocko's.
live, or did you do it as tracks, or it seems like it's in the works?
It's in the works. It's not done. The way that we had to do it, based on everyone's schedule, is me and my brother Chris and Mike Martinez were available to go do the tracks, and Max came in, which we did live. We just played live.
Yeah.
Did a couple takes and some stuff, and I did you call a scratch vocal because I wanted to play the bass really well, so I didn't try to do both at the same time in the studio, or I didn't try to sing well. So we got me and Mike and Chris, and then Max came in the next day, which he felt like he was glomming the whole day. We were like, well, he just played along with what we had picked.
Okay, cool.
Did a couple little things, listened. So we like what's there.
Cool.
We're trying to get Elliot to play the keys. Ideally, the idea was, of course, let's just set everybody up at the same time and play, but this is a very difficult band for everybody at the same time to be there, like regularly or for extended. But anyway, that was 2 days. We have 2 days done, and we're really psyched about the song selections, and often you'd be critical of this type of thing when you listen back, and we all like it.
Great. When can people expect to see that? Do you have a timeline established so we can tease it?
Yeah, I think more, we're going to finish it quickly. That it's done before February, or completely tracked before February's done. We're going to go back for another 2 days. And I smile and want to laugh because we've all put out records a lot of times where there's like a proper way to do it, there's like a halfway proper way to do it, and then there's just kind of like dump it out into the world. And I can't even tell if I have a preference, because the do it properly thing, you have to wait. You manufacture it physically, you shop it to everybody to see if anybody wants to put it out really properly. And all these various things that I don't find terribly interesting to talk about in an interview necessarily, but that require a lot of time and energy and work and availability. And this has nothing to do with recording the music or any of it.
It's all part of the production, though, and it's all very important.
And if you think your band is great and you really want to be able to convince Max and Elliot, like, this is a good gig, we have opportunities, we're gonna make things happen on the basis, my brother, we could all talk about it, but on the basis that we have songs, we have lots of songs, we're not gonna like run out of material. If anybody likes this, there's way more of this, where that came from. So you want the record to like get out there as much as it can just to
Yeah.
create more opportunities to play
Good
more
buzz.
songs.
Yeah, cool.
But you really could just put it out right here and you'd be supportive and we'd have a good record release show and
Cool. Yeah.
probably could have the same result as, but it won't come out soon. I know
Okay,
it.
okay,
It's
yeah.
gonna take forever. I
Cool.
know my brother would want to do it right. Elliot's not around, but hopefully if he plays on it, he has a stake in this issue and he'll be like, it's not worth just dumping onto the internet.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I look forward to
Thanks.
checking it out, soaking it in. So we're running close to the end of our time here. So do you have any final notes or inspirational things to say, or philosophizing, or self-promotional announcements, or any other anything else that you'd like to touch on before we go?
I guess I would say, based on the question you asked earlier, give Flying Object a chance. Listen to it to find out what we're doing,
Cool.
rather than assuming. I've been through a lot of, I think, people assuming, and we're working really hard on it. It's good.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's a lot to look forward to.
Perfect.
Other than that, no, I can't. No philosophy.
Okay. Perfect. Is there anything that you were hoping I was going to touch on that I did not?
I feel flattered, and I like that you touched on flattering things that I agree with.
I'm glad.
Like, yeah, let's get the word out about what Flying Object is. And
Yeah.
I don't have the
I'm
opportunity
a
too
flying
often
object fan.
to hear somebody describe it the way you do. So thank you for
Absolutely.
being a fan. I'm
Of
a
course.
Sarah DeVito fan and a
Thank
Drumroll
you.
fan. Keep up the
Flattering.
great work.
Thank you. Perfect. Well, fantastic. This has been Matt O'Brien
Thank
on
you.
Conversations from Drumroll. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.